welcome back. Game number 2 in the Go for StarCraft monthly finals. I'm Rifkin, of course, joined by Scarlet today, and in the bottom left corner of the map, we have the light blue Terran, Beastyqt. Then it's your turn, madam.
I thought you were gonna move the screen over to him. Oh, I'm gonna take TV's vision, sorry. In the top left corner of the map, we have the yellow Zerg from Australia. It is Petraeus.
Actually, not to be that
is he
guy.
From New Zealand?
Yeah. I did that
from
too
New
for a long
Zealand.
time.
Okay.
There's so many like little quirks I love about Petraeus. Like I got the New Zealand Australian thing mixed up a lot because I cast a lot of sea events back in the day. The other thing that was I just love about this kid was he would beat everybody. Like he would just, if there was a tournament in sea, he was gonna win it. And the only times he didn't were like because his mom would basically be like, "No, you're going to bed. You have school tomorrow." In the semifinals. I kind of miss Petraeus. Like he was such a badass down there. Came out to the big world, you know, like little kid going to the big city, goes to America, travels to Europe. He's really been all over the world at this point.
Did he move out to the States right after high school? I actually don't know too much about that sort of thing.
I don't know when he, like, as far as like his age versus school stuff goes. And to answer your question, by the way, you asked, yeah, I've just been muting Skype through the intros. Just
okay.
Like quick and easy. But okay, so for Infernal Pools, first off, it's a strange map. Just, we never get to see this. But the fact that it's, I'd say vertical spawns isn't the worst. ZVT, it's the horizontal spawns I think everybody just loathes and hates.
Exactly. The gold base, if they get a planetary there and it's horizontal, it's just horrible. Vertical, it's kind of okay for both people. You can go mutas and do a lot of damage. But at the same time, Terran can expand towards you with planetaries or whatever they choose. And, of course, drops and banshees. It's really easy for them as well, not just the Zerg.
Well, Reaper is going to go scout around. Have you had a lot of experience of people taking the island bases on this one?
I have played this map a total of 2 times. Never against a Terran player. Actually, I played once against QXC. We got horizontal spawns. And I just went Ling all in. It was great.
I find it hilarious that you've played this so few times. Yeah, I've actually, as weird as it wasn't a Terran player I first saw take an island base. It was like Gung Fu Bando or somebody took like the island base through a warp prism. So I was like, okay, whatever works. But I kind of when I saw this map in the map pool initially, I really thought there'd be a lot more Terrans trying to take faster thirds over there, just because it's safe from the Lings, from the all-ins, from the roaches, whatever.
Yeah, I think it does depend on the spawns, and if he spawns here, he might take it for sure. Otherwise, he could take this one just because he wants a more aggressive positioning to attack from. Because of course, if you expand towards them, you can get that safely. You have a better setup to attack because it's less distance to get to their base.
What do you think is bigger, this ramp or the Daedalus Point original ramp? They both just are terrible to look at.
I think Daedalus Point.
Okay, well, so we'll get a measuring table, figure that out later. 3 Reapers are roaming around the map, and looks like the 2 that went to the natural have been driven off, so just kind of coming back to clean up the Lings. It is unfortunate he didn't stick around a little bit longer, because I mean, speed timing is really around 6 minutes. You can probably poke a little bit more, kill a creep tumor maybe.
Yeah, actually, speaking of the island bases, there was a post on Reddit, I think, today, where you can abduct a drone onto the island of Zerg.
What? That's sick.
So even though no one goes Niduses or Overlord chops, you can still take a late game against Protoss or Zerg or whatever.
Scott, you got next time, if you ever play this map again, you gotta try that out. Just let me know how that goes. Even if it's horrible, just let me know if it works. That's just,
okay,
I love when people find cool things like that. It's just so unnecessary but awesome.
If I get it on ladder, sure. If I get it on a tournament, I'll just all in them again, which always seems to work.
Sure, well there you go. Man, by the way, speaking of like tournament stuff, I know you didn't have the best luck through WCS, so maybe this is like a wound you don't want to talk about, but I loved your builds. All the weird unconventional stuff that was just really fun to watch. I wish more players were willing to experiment and do stuff like that. Because like you mentioned, like maybe just all in, that seems to be the mentality a lot of the time.
Yeah, a lot of those builds are actually really old. Like I made them in 2013 to deal with the Void Ray Charge Lot styles. And I've just been pulling them out recently because I don't know what to do in VP, and it seems to be working.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, I actually played Huck a few days ago on Sunday in a show match, And I used these weird builds and I 4-0'd him actually.
Oh wow, nice.
With like Proxy Hatch with Burrow and Mass Infestor with Zergling.
The Mass Infestor one's gross. I love that one just because no one seems to go for it. But we do have Roach Mailing on the way. Big all-in, speaking of all-ins, out of Petraeus. You see that third CC? It's kind of like asking to get all-in. I'm honestly surprised BC doesn't have bunkers down. The Banshees are going to be good. They're going to be necessary. But no bunkers. So late. It's just, it feels like a big mistake out of him.
And he also has no Marauders, no Marines. So these bunkers aren't even going to help very much.
Yeah, Reaper DPS hype.
He just has to rely on this Banshee, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, actually.
Yeah, the Banling's going to be a little bit scary. Helling's going to have to get some really good shots to make this work. And even then, that might be a little bit too difficult. He will kite this round pretty decently for now. SCV's we're trying to fill that hole with another depot. This one Banshee's doing pretty good so far. Yeah, this isn't actually going too bad for him. I guess chipping away about 3 or 4 of the roaches with the attack came, really helped. Kiting around the slow Banlings worked. It's a little bit messy, but this definitely could have gone about 1,000,000 times worse.
Yeah, this is a great defense so far. I think what Petraeus, his mistake was, he saw that there's a Banshee killing his roaches, so he thought I had to go right now, and he didn't wait for more Banelings. He only had a few Zerglings up front, so he had like 5 Banelings. Usually you want to make like 20 Banelings and just run at them, and they can't do anything with their SCVs or Marines or any sorts of those types of units. They just get crushed. But because he saw the one Banshee killing his units, he thought he has no time and he has to go now. And I think that's the reason it didn't work out for him, even though there wasn't any bunkers or anything.
Yeah, I mean that really did feel like that should have been a much more powerful attack. So
yeah, I actually thought he was just going to win the game there.
Oh well, Depot's being down. Maybe he still will. Oh god. BC's actually going to pull back his entire attack. This is so unfortunate because he was set to go massacre the natural. 4 queens and a Spinecrawler easily dealt with what he was bringing, but coming back home, realizing, okay, maybe I can clean this up with some SCVs, decides to go back now. Hellbat's transformed, and there is going to be detection through the Overseer, but that's a lot of Hellbats on top of the Banshees, or rather under the Banshees. Bailey still managed to morph in to get a couple SCVs in the main. 21 workers killed so far, but still sending up 40 people behind it, not looking too bad. Attacking a little bit awkward. Transfuses are quite nice on that Spinecrawler. Gonna live a little bit longer, but 3 Banshees now. Gonna be what picks off those queens, maybe? How that's gonna take that fight. They'll try and head towards the mineral line, but there's a Sporecrawler waiting over here.
Yeah, just waiting a little bit too long because he was worried about the counterattack. Would have been a lot better if he attacked it just a few seconds sooner. So, Petraeus, it was a great counterattack because those Lings aren't going to do much against Hellbats. So, it was a great decision to go counterattack right there.
It was unfortunate too for Beastyqt because he did stop and turn his army around to come back and defend.
Yeah,
so if he had just pushed, that might have been just the timing he needed type thing. But he'll at least deny the 3rd. Back home, the depots are raised this time around.
And we see Beastyqt going into Mech actually.
A lot of Zerg players complaining about Mech right now. Where do you sit on this matchup?
I think if Terrans do it really well, it would be really hard. Right now, I've just been generally going mass mutas, and they don't scout. They make only 4 Thors, and you just kill them.
It's so depressing, man. Like, the Thor is supposed to be this big anti-muta unit, and it's the worst sometimes.
Yeah, until you get a certain amount, it's not very strong. But after that point, they just kill everything. So I think a lot of Terrans, they just need to be scanning to see what units the Zerg is making, and they're not doing that. But I think, yeah, if a Terran plays Mech really well, it would be really hard for Zerg to deal with.
Yeah, the anti-air conundrum's been a little bit real. What's his name? Salvation's actually been doing this kind of cool opening where instead of going straight to Thors, he'll go for like 4 or 5 fast Vikings. It's kind of been working out for small amounts of mutas, but obviously not in these large amounts.
I remember him from NS Hosa. What team is he on now?
I want to say MVP. I should know this better because we just saw him like 2 weekends ago.
And Petraeus is expanding towards him instead of taking a gold.
Perhaps a little bit too worried about run buys. I mean, I don't know if he identified it was Mech until just. I mean, you saw 3 Banshees make assumptions, but perhaps he was worried about a lot of Hellions running around the map as a consequence.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
It's pretty hard to just like just park the Hellions at the top of that cliff and have a good time. Oh, you've done did it. I didn't want to say anything.
Okay.
All right, so the creep does get cleaned up. Yeah, I don't know why. Here's the thing. I don't know why pinging, it bothers me too, like when I'm not casting with the person pinging. And I have no idea why. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But like, it's one of those things that puts casters on tilt. So if you want to control other casters, just ping, like randomly.
So, am I allowed to ping if it's just me and you in a game and not take TV?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. But I was gonna say that
Oh,
because
100% complete. No turret.
gotta love that Blizzard map.
I know. Oh, 25 out of 25 is the worst number in the game. Missile turret's actually doing pretty good work on the mutas, though. Thor should be able to clean up a couple more shots. 3 mutas remain, but as cool and dangerous as those have been, here comes another attack towards that third. A couple of Hellbats are positioned, but there's even Queens on the front line, so some anti-air for the Banshees.
Yeah, he was suiciding this mutas just to make sure he kills all the tanks, because then his roach follow-up can do a lot of damage.
Well, so far so good, but there are Banshees in play, and well, they might not have the speed benefit from Legacy of the Void. They're still pretty good just on their own. Transfuse is trying to do what they can, but 4 Banshees with the DPS is really hard to out-heal.
And the point defense run just shuts down all the queens, so hopefully he'll lift his third right now. But
I might not be thinking about it. He's busy looking at the natural wall. He's gonna lose the command center to roaches. This should never happen. Oh, but 3, 2, boom.
that's rough.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Tank on the high ground, though, should be able to kill us, but yeah, I don't know if it's about stabilizing at this point. He's lost a lot of SCVs. He just straight up lost the third base. As a mech player, you need those geysers, like, really badly. So I'm not really sure where this leaves Beasty, but it's not in too good of a spot, that's for sure.
He would have actually been completely fine if he just lifted up the third.
Yeah.
Because even though he took a lot of damage, it was kind of all-in-ish from Petraeus. He wasn't planning on a follow-up, he didn't join up his third. He only has 1 upgrade. Like, that was a pretty big committal, and it definitely paid off because he did kill the third, but that's just on Beastyqt for not lifting.
Well, Beasty wants to pay him back a little bit. Or Banshees can certainly get some work done over here. Mutas were getting suicided earlier. I think there's still 3 in the bottom corner. Could bring this back on, maybe. No way Queens can deal with this. Let's see what's here at the natural. There's a couple tanks up. These roaches probably can't push in, and really, there's not a lot of the third to defend. So it's yeah, just a nice. This was a pretty good counterattack out of Beasty. Not killing drones, but does get the base, so a little bit of payback.
All right, trading base for base. That's.
I mean, does that fall into the category of base trade? I mean, it kind of is, but not in the conventional sense.
Trading a base for a base.
Well, Corruptors coming out are certainly a strange way to do anti-air, but they will deal with the Banshees.
Don't know if it's going to be in time, though. Looks like he might lose the space.
Natural's going down. Took out the Queen first, and then Transfuse is available. This is a lot scrappier than I think Beasty was planning on it to be, but it's getting good damage done with these. I'd say necessary damage done, too, because there's no way you just turtle up on 2 bases and have a good time.
No, it's 1 base versus 2. This is such a strange game.
Yeah, Hydra's coming out as well. I mean, Roach Hydra, I guess, not so weird to see versus Mech, but it's like Hydra on no economy, so...
1 base Roach Hydra.
Yeah, it's not Roaches and Hydras, it's Roach Hydra, literally.
It's like watching cats play.
Oh! He's gonna go to the island base, and rather than build a medevac, he's just gonna carry the SCVs through the command center. Nobody uses this feature. This is so cool. It's like the weirdest way to go about it, but there's no anti-air left. Or, sorry, not anti-air, but there's no air left. No mutas to harass this. This could work.
And Petraeus probably won't even realize this.
This is the weirdest, stupidest way I've seen this game play out, but I guess when you're on Infernal Pools, don't expect anything good.
There's just overlords all over the map hanging out.
Yeah, he's blocking off all the conventional bases, just not the one that... Oh.
And they're even like sitting beside the watchtower, making creep. In the middle of nowhere. There's Corruptors in the top left of the map doing nothing.
What is going on with these guys? This is when you start wondering, like, is this a bar craft? Are they taking shots every time they lose a base? Like, what's going on?
Well, actually, when games get like this as a player, you get like really nervous and it makes you play worse. So once situations get scrappy, a lot of the times the game just continue to devolve. They just get stranger and stranger.
Well, what I'm kind of looking for is I see a Viper on the way. I don't know if Petraeus has been reading up on the strategy you described earlier, but we could have 2 island bases. Would literally be the first time I've ever seen that.
He can afford like 1 Viper a minute with this income.
Yeah, I guess Petraeus the gas for both players, because they're placed on the gas is like so limiting, but BC actually has a pretty decent bank. I'm actually a little bit more curious as to why you've seen that it's Hydras. Why not more Ravens? We all know Ravens to be OP and garbage, like disgusting units in the first place, but they're just point defense and shuts down Hydras so good, so well.
The nerf got applied to Heart of the Storm, right?
Yeah, so the point defense drone only lasts for like 20 seconds or whatever.
So what you can kind of do now against that is you go in with your Roach Hydra Viper, you cast your blinding clouds on the tanks, and then what they have to do is drop the point defense drones, of course. So you could just back up and get more energy with your consume, and then go back in.
Yeah.
So you're trading energy for energy, but with the Vipers, you can get more energy a lot quicker than the Ravens.
I like that. I like that thought. But I feel like as simple as that is to say, so few players, I should say, really think about disengaging. Like that tunnel vision comes in pretty hard, I think, at that point.
Yeah, and the blinding cloud definitely helps with disengaging, because otherwise the tanks kill a lot of your units when you're backing off. But with the blinding cloud, you can disengage perfectly fine.
I can't believe he's getting away with the island base like this too. That's blowing me away right now. Petraeus at some point is gonna have to ask, like, what are you doing? I've got both your 3rd and your gold base and your 4th like all goofed up. What are you doing, Beasty?
And even when he sees this, he'll have no way to deal with it unless he goes Nidus or something, because he is going Roach Hydra Viper.
Oh well, if you can abduct a drone, you can probably abduct a Hydra. I'm just saying.
Abduct roaches onto the islands.
Sounds totally effective to me.
New meta.
Alright, so there's a medevac up here, I guess, scouting to see if he had also taken the gold base, and Petraeus is starting to spread out crazy amounts of overlords.
This overlord's gonna go check, but it's gonna die to widow mines on the way.
Oh my god, you're right, yeah, the second one's right there. Did he know? Did Beastie just set up the perfect line of widow mines? What just happened there? Some premonition shit.
This game.
Hey, I'll take it. I love games that go like this. I love Mech in general, but I love games that get all sorts of weird. Now, I don't know about this because for BC, he's given up on upgrades for the time being, and that made sense for a while. He really didn't have a lot of units. He needed to put all that gas, all that money into more tanks, into more Ravens, whatever. But he's not continuing through with those upgrades. So he's actually at a weird deficit, which we don't typically see versus Zerg. Usually, it's Gumiho with 3-3 and battle cruisers on the way. But yeah, BC doesn't have the best upgrades going for him right now. Oh, is it not Blue Flame either? No, he's just starting it too. Ooh, that's gonna suck. Blue Flame, of course.
Well, he doesn't. Yeah,
really nice to have.
Once he gets more Hellbats, at least he only has 4 Hellions right now. But this is going to be an interesting fight. A lot of these tanks are going to get abducted, probably. There's not enough Vikings right now.
Yeah, I like the use of the abducted instead of the blinding cloud too.
Yeah. Well, the abilities are kind of similar in that they deal with tanks and they deal with Thors, but they're actually very good in different scenarios. If you're just trying to pick off units, not trying to commit to a fight, of course abduct is better, because you can stay out of range of most of the units. But if you're going into a big fight, you could probably hit more units with the blinding cloud, so you need to know when to use which ability, and there's definitely different situations for them, but they both kind of accomplish the same thing in the end.
Well, BC's starting to get that Viking count up, so we might be able to start sniping off some of the Vipers. I love this sort of BM turrets coming underneath the Overlord. It's not really necessary other than to strictly kill the Overlord. I guess the other kind of cool thing too is, like, if he does kill all the Overseers, you could just use the Banshees all day. But point defense runs come down a little bit late, still uses loses what was abduct. And I guess Petraeus finally on a gold. I feel at this point too, like, when you're playing against a mech player, is it not just generally good to just take every base? I mean, just plop hatcheries down all over the map and get that creep dominance?
I kind of like going more bases when I want gas. If I'm going like Roach Hydra Viper, sure I can go like 4 or 5 bases, but beyond that, it's not really relevant. Just because you're not making 2 gas heavy of an army. If you're going into like mass Ultralisks or Mutas or Broodlords or whatever, or Infestors, then you definitely want more bases. But right now, especially since he was on kind of low income, I think it's quite fine to just stay on these bases. You see he's not even taking the gases at the 4th.
Yeah.
So that means, like, if he took another base, he doesn't have more drones to saturate it. It's just not going to help. Sure, it'll get creep at that spot, but the creep doesn't expand from there unless you bring a queen there, and you can do that without a base.
Well, I like the attempts at a run by from BC. It's better than just turtling up hardcore. I mean, I don't know. Everyone always talks about Turtle Mech and the Fabled, how BS it is, etc. But like, Goody's the only one who really seems to pull it off on a regular basis. But my God, this tank spread, in the eyes of a Terran player, is gorgeous.
And as long as he defends this position, then eventually he'll get into a great spot. Like if he gets to max without losing too many army units, he'll be able to take this fight really easily. And that's when Turtle Mech becomes... That's when a lot of people complain about it, is once they get to that max supply. But before then, I don't think it is at all any problem to deal with. Because you can definitely fight it with Roach Hydra Viper, as long as you get a decent engagement.
Cleaning up what he can around the map, so attempting to do these run-bys. Not exactly devastating Petraeus. He's kind of at that point where like his less drones is bigger army supply anyways. That is a lot of Hydras after all. 35. Vikings looking to snipe off the Vipers, make sure those don't get too close. Pretty important that he does this. Getting supply blocked, but the Overseer's going down is a little bit awkward. And looks like we are going to have Petraeus try and force that fight. Now there's a couple of point defense drones down, but as we can see, they're already almost out of their duration. But they shut down the Hydralisk pretty well. Rather than backing away from this, he is going to commit. Last Viper is going to go down to the Vikings. No more energy for point defense drones. He repositioned some of the tanks, and I think Beasty should be able to hold this position. He'll probably lose most of the low ground, but oh man, he just obliterates that army. So Petraeus down to no supply, and he's gonna remax on mutas. Interesting.
Got massacred. Mutas. This is gonna be...
Did you ever hear about Ghost User's attempt versus Morrow?
At Homestrike Cup, I think?
No, it was something we had hosted recently. GG, by the way, so BC will tab the Series 1-1. But Ghost User did this really interesting thing where it was a mined out map. Morrow was playing Super Turtle Mech. It was impossible to break type thing. And he just sacrificed every drone, every queen, every roach, every hydra, and just remaxed on almost 100 mutas. It's like 95 mutas or something, because this was Bank allowed him to do. And it almost worked. Like 95 mutas spread out is pretty sick. But yeah, I don't think 13
I kind of like playing like that. I don't suicide my drones, but I just make like 50 mutas and then fight. I was thinking of the game Ghost User was playing its mech on Newkirk Precinct.
Oh, the transfuses, right?
Yes, he went like 50 queens and an Ultralisk. And he just, I think he won that fight. Just killed like all of the tanks with the one Ultralisk.
I remember that too, the highlight too, just kind of storming through, and everyone's just like, how is this not dying? What's going on? But, alright.
That can be kind of difficult to do, because if you don't transfuse fast enough, it can just die in one volley between transfuses, so...
Yeah, I guess like the shots have to be staggered instead of like I'll collect it at once. But the third map should be coming up here in just a moment, guys. The lobby's being made. We will be taking an ad break after this best of 3 is finished, so if you guys got a timeout snacks or a bathroom break or whatever, by all means, that's the time to do it. And let's see if BC needs a quick BRB. To you, by the way, I hope it's not so bad so far. I'm actually kind of sick today. Like, I don't know if it's coming through or not, but I had some pretty, we'll call them stupid moments earlier today, and I'm just gonna apologize ahead of time in case any like
calling. No, you've been great so far.
Okay, cool. Because yeah, I was calling the Mothership Core Colossus and things. It was not well. It was not a proud moment for me this morning.
How did that tournament go?
The it ended up being Reality. Ended up winning it actually. Which is kind of weird, because Reality I thought like retired or something.
Yeah, he's the player that went Turtle Mech, right? In TVZ a lot, or is that Fantasy?
I don't really know if he did it a lot. I know that he did play Mech.
There was a game in Pro League against Sulky. One of them, Fantasy or Reality, played it on that Star Station, I think it was called, and it went to 2 hours or something, and then they had to regame because it kind of went into a tie with like 20 supply against 20 supply and no one could win.
Jeez, I didn't see that one, but that's something I would definitely think I personally would enjoy, because I am disgusting and love those games.
Yeah, it was Reality. Here, I'll link it to you so you can check it later.
Yeah, I don't know. Zombie and I have two very different points of view. Like we're both play Terran, but we both play very different styles of it. I like cheese, I like mech. She likes macro and bio. So we often have arguments on stream about. But I am a disgusting mech lover for sure.
You're a mech lover?
Yeah.
Well, I played Stormhost for a few months, so I can't complain.
What do you think of the new ones? Any positive sides, or is it all just downhill with the changes?
I think they're almost alright. If they were a tiny bit either cheaper or costed one the supply again, then they'd be viable. Because while they're definitely worse at like turtling and just sieging and stuff like that, they are a lot better for harassment. And I did use them against Avila one game in the WCS qualifiers. It ended up working out. It was just they're kind of uncomfortable to use just because of how long it takes between waves.
Yeah, it's like a full minute or something. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, are you in Twitch chat by chance?
I think so.
You
Yes.
you have a fan here, some guy named Nathanius. I don't know if that's how you say his name.
Hey, I'm not a moderator.
Oh gosh, well, you've never been in chat for me to moderate you in the first place. Boom.
Yes, I
nailed it.
have. You just never noticed me. I'm sad.
Notice me, senpai. All right, guys, we're hopping into
Exactly.
Coda. See you in a moment.